What is going on, Jay Bears? Welcome to episode 17 of the Jay by the Bay podcast. I'm thrilled to be back, and today looks to be another awesome rendition of the show. Week 0 is finally here, college football. All together, we have 23 FC games going on tonight, a total of 68 games going on between now and this weekend, 8 of those games being FBS games. But awesome show. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. Remember, football news, football conversations, football year round. But yeah, like I said, small week 0 slates, but enough NFL draft talents, storylines to discuss. I'm not going to force every game. My main focus is going to be North Carolina and TCU, USC, North Carolina State, and Virginia, as well as Florida State. There's 4 players I am most excited to talk about: C.J. Bailey, Jayden Maiava, Cam Robinson, Duce Robinson, and then I'm also keeping an eye on a future NFL draft prospect, Ouseman Kromah. Remember that name. But without further ado, let's get to it. So North Carolina, TCU, Dublin, Ireland. A lot of these games are opening up in Ireland. That seems to be the new tradition. Season 2 of Bill Belichick in North Carolina. Taking on Sonny Dykes. North Carolina last year, disappointment of a season, going 4-8 with Belichick at the helm. The results were disappointing. I can see North Carolina turning the season around, though, kind of similar with Deion Sanders did in Colorado. And coincidentally, Sanders won 4-8 his first season in Boulder. But yeah, I need to start seeing a clear identity in year 2. Discipline, execution, physicality, attention to detail. I mean, does this finally begin to resemble an NFL type offense there in Chapel Hill? But Bobby Petrino finally takes over as offensive coordinator. Stephen Belichick, Bill Belichick's sons, this is year 2 as defensive coordinator there. TCU is going to be tasked with replacing Josh Hoover, who left for Indiana. Jayden Craig transfers in from Harvard, but I think they're going to adopt a more run approach. They do return Jeremy Payne at running back. He's going to be a key offensive weapon for them. But yeah, playing in Dublin adds another variable, travel, routine, communication. But we'll start with North Carolina. Billy Edwards transfers in from Wisconsin. Named North Carolina starting quarterback. Experienced and steady option. Doesn't need to play hero ball. He doesn't. But, protect the football and distribute it to the playmakers. I will be watching how comfortable he looks operating a new offense. He can give North Carolina more consistent quarterback play, but more than they received last season. But let's see if he can do that. Jordan Shipp, that's going to be the key playmaker on offense for the Tar Heels at receiver. Last year, 60 receptions, 671 yards, 6 touchdowns. Produced despite inconsistent North Carolina offensive play. Has the movement skills, separation, ability after the catch. I want to see how he handles the press coverage, though, in contested situations. North Carolina needs to make a concerted effort to just, get the ball into his hands. Question, was his production limited by the, inconsistency around him last season? We'll see. Only time will tell, but I think Billy Edwards Jr. gives him an opportunity here. On the defensive side for them, on the edge, Melkert Abu Jaude, second team All-ACC last season, actually led the ACC with sacks with 10.5 last year. Has length, possesses the motor. It's got that pass rush ability. Major test for TCU's offensive tackles. Flipping over to TCU, though, as I said, Jeremy Payne. He's an explosive threat out of the backfield. I think this is going to be their main identity this season. Not taking anything away from Jayden Craig, but I think they need to, really pay attention to their run game this year. North Carolina can't allow him to consistently reach the second level. I mean, they just can't. When he gets in the open field, he's very dangerous. He's got the vision, burst, receiving ability. If TCU controls the game, Payne could be a major reason why. A big question, does North Carolina look like a program beginning to turn the corner, under Bill Belichick? Or is it a repeat like last year? The second game on the slate that I'm paying attention to this week, San Jose State at number 14 USC. So future's looking bright for USC. They had the number 1 recruiting class in 2026. They're actually starting 5 true freshmen this year. Are they slowly returning the mid-2000s Trojans? Possibly. I'm not going to jump the gun on that. They got the quarterback right now, number 1 recruiting class. So the page might be turning. But USC, Jayden Maiava, 2027 NFL draft prospect. A lot of people are talking about him. 31 career starts between USC and UNLV. Plenty of experience. Last season, finished close to 66% completion on passes, over 3,700 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Had also over 150 yards on the ground with 6 rushing touchdowns. Led the country with QBR with a 91.2% grade. So that's impressive there. That's something I'm looking at there. That's what caught the eye for me. But he's got the size, arm talent, mobility will attract NFL attention. It will. Question is whether the production translates beyond Lincoln Riley's system. USC should control this matchup, evaluate Maiava's ability, his efficiency, decisions, and command, ball placement, anticipation, processing, deep ball accuracy. These are things I'm looking at. Can he work through progressions when the first read is taken away? Right now, I got a mid-third round grade on him. He'll show more, though, and he'll rise up my board. I have confidence that he will. But yeah, Lincoln Riley's quarterback reputation, Riley's track record naturally brings more attention to Maiava. Can't draft the coach, though. Can't draft the coach, can't draft the system, can't draft the USC helmet. Also in USC, run game. Running back, Wayman, Jordan, King Miller. Jordan was out last year with a season-ending injury that cut his 2025 season short to 6 games. Had over 500 yards on 88 carries, 5 touchdowns. I'm going to be watching the burst, the contact balance, and workload in his first game back. But King Miller, he showed what he could do last year. Former walk-on, rushed for almost 1,000 yards last season, 8 touchdowns, over 6 yards per carry. He's got the vision, contact balance, burst. Can he build a breakout season? But they got a 1-2 punch with Jordan and Miller. Elijah Page returns as the blindside tackle for Maiava. Foot quickness, he possesses that. He's got hand placement, anchor, balance. I want to see clean, true pass protection, though. I want to see that. Should control this matchup without oversetting or getting sloppy. Flipping over to the defensive side for USC, the defensive line. They got Cameron Crawford on the edge, as well as Jakeem Stewart in the middle. Last season, Crawford, the junior, so last season he had 41 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks in 13 games. He's got a great first step quickness, pass rush plan, and ability to finish. Stewart is a PFF freshman All-American, 7.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception as well as a defensive tackle. Powerful interior disruptor. Watch his first step quickness and growth as a pass rusher, though. They got something to be, there in Stewart. At cornerback, Jontez Williams. This is a transfer in from Iowa State. Missed all of last season, but he's an experienced cover corner. So hopefully he can bounce back from that, but he can be an awesome guy on the outside for the Trojans. San Jose State, you got Luke Weaver, the Hawaii transfer. Named the Spartans' new starting quarterback last season. He had 628 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in 5 games. But he did go 2-0 as a starter and threw the winning touchdown pass in the Hawaii Bowl. So that was nice. But interesting open test against USC's rebuilt defense. Big question, though. Can Maiava separate himself from a crowded group of 2027 QB prospects? NC State at Virginia. It's probably the best overall game on the Week 0 slate. Early ACC matchup between 2 experienced teams. Virginia provides an immediate ACC road test for Bailey and NC State's rebuilt supporting cast. That's CJ Bailey. Virginia's coming off an ACC championship win and a Gator Bowl win. NC State finished 8-5 and closed 2025 with a Gasparilla Bowl victory. So both had bowl victories last season. But early conference, mistakes and turnovers carry extra weight. CJ Bailey, an intriguing draft prospect. I kind of got him lower on my projection right now, but I have confidence that he will rise. He's the most exciting player that I'm evaluating this week, at least to me. Legitimate mobility and plenty of arm strength. Last season, over 3,100 passing yards, 31 total touchdowns, entering his 3rd season as NC State's quarterback. So he started as a freshman. Physical tools are obvious. He needs to become a more polished passer, though. NFL teams will not need convincing, though, on his size. 6'6", 218 pounds. His athleticism or his ability to make difficult throws. This is what I'm going to be watching, though. His pocket presence, processing speed, accuracy, anticipation, decision-making under pressure, know when to take easy completions, know when to scramble and when to remain in the pocket. So right now, though, I have a late 5th-round grade on him, but I have no doubt that it will continue to rise. NC State, they get a Buffalo transfer receiver, Victor Snow. Last season, they had 62 receptions for 815 yards and 8 touchdowns. Dynamic after the catch and adds value as a runner and punt returner as well. But Bailey's supporting cast, NC State lost significant receiving production. Working with a relatively unproven group of pass catchers makes the evaluation even more revealing. Can you remain patient when receivers do not create immediate separation? Flipping over to the defensive side, NC State, secondary prospects to watch. Safety King Mack, who's a transfer in from Penn State, 58 tackles last season. He has range and versatility. Cornerback Brian Nelson II, ball production and instincts, recorded 4 interceptions in 2024 for North Texas. And then cornerback Jamel Johnson, another experienced cover corner. Going to Virginia, so this is going to be a team that really relies on their run game. They have 2 experienced running backs. They have both transfers. Jaquil Middlebrook transferred in from Middle Tennessee State, and then Peyton Lewis, who transferred in from Tennessee. Now, Middlebrook last season, over 700 rushing yards, also had 40 receptions for over 400 receiving yards, 7 total touchdowns. So this is a receiving back, versatile receiving back. Watch his vision, though. Contact balance and third down value. For Lewis, Tennessee, a little bit more talent and competition there. Had close to 300 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns on 70 carries. Also contributed as a receiver and kick returner, though, as well. But explosive speed with a strong frame. Watch how Virginia divides touches between Lewis and Middlebrook, though. Really looking at Virginia. Offensive line, Virginia set. They have a lot of experience. There's 3 guys that could potentially get drafted. Noah Josie, Mikhail Boley, and Monroe Mills. Josie started all 14 games at left guard last year. Experienced interior blocker. Key matchup against NC State's defensive front. Mikhail Boley, preseason All-ACC. He as well started all 14 games. He started at left tackle last season. Got size, experience, and pass protection consistency. Major matchup against NC State's edge rushers. And then Monroe Mills. His 31 career starts at left and right tackle. Missed 2025 due to an injury, but I'm going to be watching his health, movement, and ability to regain to his prior form. Now, on Virginia's defensive side, there's another big prospect that I'm looking at, Cam Robinson. This is a very intriguing prospect. Best returning defensive player on that defense for the Cavaliers. 2025 13 All-ACC, Buckus Award semifinalist. Runner-up ACC Defensive Player of the Year behind Reuben Bain Jr. So, that's impressive. Now, check this out, though. Last season, 64 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss in 8 games. So keep that in mind. He was runner-up ACC Defensive Player of the Year in just 8 games. That's all he needed. So that's impressive. 3-time ACC Linebacker of the Week last year. Returned both interceptions for touchdowns. Proven instincts, coverage ability, and ball production. This is an athletic linebacker with range to pursue Bailey outside the pocket. Physical enough to play downhill. Watch his block deconstruction and open field tackling. It's outstanding. I was watching film last night. He's phenomenal when it comes to it. Right now, for now, I have him as an early 4th rounder, but I can see him rising up my board and eventually at least becoming a 3rd rounder. But Virginia, they have plenty of talent on that defense. Their secondary, rebuilt with experienced transfers and Emilio Agard, Jacoby Henderson, and Brandon Hillman. Hillman started 12 games at Michigan last year. He's got range, physicality, and experience. Henderson started all 12 games at Rutgers last year. Ethan Minter started 13 games on Virginia, so he's a returning starter. Also has versatility, and communication will be a critical part against Bailey. But enough experience to disguise coverages and test Bailey after the snap. I want to see whether Bailey identifies pressure and coverages rotations quickly. Communication will be important against an experienced quarterback. Big question, though, is C.J. Bailey simply an intriguing quarterback or a legit 2027 NFL draft prospect? New Mexico State, Florida State. Simply winning is not the only evaluation against an overmatched opponent. Do they look organized? Do they look physical? Do they look prepared from the opening kick? Cannot allow any overmatched opponent to hang on. Big prospect in this game, Duce Robinson, one of the most physically impressive receivers in the game right now. Officially listed at 6'6", 230 pounds. Started his collegiate career at USC. Last season, he had 56 receptions, over 1,000 yards receiving, and 6 touchdowns. Led all Power 4 receivers with 5 120-yard games. He's a preseason All-American. He's also on the Blitnikoff, Maxwell, and Walter Camp watch list. Size and ball skills immediately stand out, though. Next step is becoming a complete receiver. Release package, separation, route development, body control, contested catches, tracking the deep ball, yards after catch, blocking effort. These are all things that he's going to need at the next level. But he's especially discussed expanding his route tree, working with his fourth starting quarterback now. But I want to see Florida State kind of moving around. I don't want to see him just leaving in one spot. But what he does in this season will determine if he's a first rounder or second rounder. But right now, I currently have an early second round grade on him. But I could see him, eventually producing this year and then becoming at least a late first rounder. So, like I said, for Duce Robinson, he's on his fourth starting quarterback. Ashton Daniels transfers in from Auburn. Was a 2-year starter at Stanford under Troy Taylor before Auburn. Experienced and athletic quarterback. Connection with Robinson will be a central part of this offense. Timing, accuracy, command of the offense. Can he distribute the ball without becoming too dependent on Robinson? His blindside tackle comes over from Auburn. Xavier Chaplin transfers over from Auburn, so he continues to block that blindside. Senior Bowl top 300 watch list guy. He's massive at 6'8", 354 pounds. Experienced tackle. Watch his balance, anchor, consistency in the pass protection. But also, what I'm really looking at here is their run game. So I really think this is going to be a much improved offense for the Seminoles. At running back, so you got two guys. One of them is a future prospect that I'm looking at. One's this year as well. Trey Wisner, Texas transfer. I've liked this guy since his freshman year for the Longhorns. Experienced back with 21 starts in 38 games at Texas. Had a quiet 2025 season after an impressive sophomore season. But in his career, 369 carries, 1,734 yards, 9 touchdowns, 66 receptions for 457 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last season, 131 carries, almost 600 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had a season-high game against number 3 at the time, Texas A&M, 155 yards. But yeah, in 2024, though, like I said, that was his best season. Third-team All-ACC, over 1,000 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. Set a Texas running back record for 44 receptions. So he's proven that he has pass game value. Named to the 2026 Doak Walker Award preseason watch list. I'm watching that vision, patience, contact balance, receiving ability, and pass protection. He's a veteran presence that provides a lot for that offense in Florida State. Then you go over to Ouseman Kromah. Remember this name, like I said at the beginning. This is a guy I really like. He's not eligible for this draft. He might not even come out next year. He might be in the 2029 draft. But this is a guy. So he's a true sophomore now. One of the top running back recruits last year in the 2025 class. Also named to the Doak Walker preseason watch list. Last season as a true freshman, had over 400 rushing yards, 147 receiving yards, and that's almost 6 yards per catch in 12 games. Sorry, I was looking, my cat's dragging his cat bed there. But got the vision, contact balance, burst, ability to create beyond what is blocked, receiving ability, pass protection, ball security. Could be ready for a much larger role there. Between Wisner and Kromah, exciting stuff there in Tallahassee. But also Florida State at tight end, they have Landon Thomas Jr. He's good route running, hands, blocking effort, red zone usage, opportunity to become a more consistent part of the passing game. Flipping over to defense, 5th-year defensive lineman Daniel Lyons in the interior, also Senior Bowl top 300. He's got power, and that hand usage is excellent. Interior versatility, watch his ability to disrupt the pocket. Big question though, does Florida State merely win, or do they look like a program prepared to step forward and start winning on a consistent basis again? Probably my favorite game of this whole week, Jacksonville State and North Dakota State. North Dakota State, they finally make the jump to the FBS. So, like I said, this is one of the coolest week 0 storylines. Check this out. North Dakota State went 12-1 last season, and, they've been a consistent FCS powerhouse. It was time they finally made the jump, though. 2009 was their last losing season. Since 2009, they've been 198-27, and that includes 10. They're a 10-time Division I FCS champion. 10 times since 2009. Now let's see how quickly the formula translates to the FBS. Physical offensive line, solid quarterback and running game, disciplined defense, excellent player development. Great game to discover a prospect before the mainstream conversation begins. Really. But then, Jacksonville State as a program, also newer to FBS. This is only year 4 for them. Made the move in 2023. 3 straight winning seasons since their debut, so they don't have any losing records since moving to the FBS. That goes 9-4, 9-5, and 9-5 last season. 2-1 in bowl record. Jacksonville State has all the prospects though. At quarterback, Caden Creel, last season completed over 61% of his passes, over 1,500 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's a running quarterback though. He produced 6 games with at least 100 passing yards and 100 rushing yards. 2025 Salute the Veterans Bowl MVP. Preseason first team All-Conference USA by Phil Steele. Immediate test for North Dakota State's discipline and open field tackling, though. North Dakota State must maintain rush lane integrity. What I want to see in this game, I want to see whether Creel creates explosive plays through the air and not only just his legs. On the defensive side, Jacksonville State, they returned Caleb Nix, former Clemson Tiger. Last year was a first-team All-Conference, Conference USA, 64 tackles, 4 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries. Proven playmaker with strong instincts and takeaway production. He's a guy I could definitely see him playing on Sundays in the NFL. Big question, though, does North Dakota State immediately show that they belong in the FBS? Me personally, I think they do. But this is going to be an exciting and fun game to watch. To the next game, Hawaii at Stanford. Hawaii quarterback, Mika Alejado. He's a sophomore now, a second-year starter. 2025 Mountain West Freshman of the Year. Completed over 66% of his passes, over 3,100 yards, and conference-leading 24 touchdowns. He's got timing, anticipation, accuracy, excellent decision-making under pressure. Stanford should provide a better test of his processing, though. Stanford, what I'm looking at there, program rebuild. Former quarterback Davida Pritchard is now head coach. He was originally offensive coordinator there. Last year, though, he was the quarterback's coach for the Washington Commanders. Andrew Luck remains Stanford's general manager. I don't think they have a better guy there doing that. Michigan transfer Davis Warren comes in. Missed all of 2025, recovering from an ACL injury. But in 2024, started 9 games for Michigan. Over 1,100 yards passing, 7 touchdowns. One of Stanford's, if not their best prospect, is probably linebacker Matt Rose. 106 tackles last season, most by Stanford players since 2015. Second in the ACC in tackles. He's a Butkus, Nagurski, and Bednarik preseason watch list candidate. Big question. Is Alejado ready to emerge as one of the better quarterbacks outside the Power Four? Can he get Hawaii back to playing consistent football? Year 5 for Timmy Chang for the Rainbow Warriors. 9-4 last season. So there's production there. And that's the program's first winning season since 2019. And then last but not least, Memphis at UNLV. This is the best late night game here. UNLV enters year 2 under Dan Mullen. Memphis begins a new era under Charlie Huff, who just can't seem to find a home. He was winning at Marshall there. They just couldn't come to terms with the contract. I want to see him stick somewhere. But first meeting between these two programs, 10 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. UNLV, they bring in Auburn transfer quarterback Jackson Arnold. So Auburn transfers pretty much all their quarterbacks out. Jackson Arnold, though, veteran dual threat quarterback, 1,300 passing yards last year, 311 rushing yards, 14 total touchdowns at Auburn. Former 5-star recruit with 18 career starts. That's across Oklahoma and Auburn. Remember, started his career at Oklahoma. What I'm going to be watching, though, in this game is his decision-making, pocket consistency, and his fit in Dan Mullen's offense. On defense, really just I'm looking at Memphis. So they bring in 2 transfers, both from Southern Miss. On the defensive line at edge, Jamon Tapp. This is his 4th school now, originally started at Texas. Last season, though, by far had his best collegiate season. 70 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks. And then, like I said, there's another transfer from Southern Miss, Amir Foster at safety. Good open field tackler and versatile athlete. Big question, though, which program handles transition better? Who makes the best first statement in 2026? Final thoughts, though. Top 4 prospects I'm watching. C.J. Bailey, most important NFL evaluation of the weekend for me. Jayden Maiava, chance to build legitimate 2027 draft momentum. Cam Robinson, high-end physical linebacker who looks, to build on last year's production. And Duce Robinson, physical talent with an opportunity to build a first-round resume. And then also remember, Ouseman Kromah, getting him on the radar before he becomes a mainstream draft name. I'm telling you, you're going to be hearing this guy a lot. He's obviously splitting time with Trey Wisner in that backfield now, but this is a start for him. But that is all I have for you guys today. Week 0 is finally here. Exciting stuff. This weekend, that's where you'll finally, you got the 8 FBS games going on. But I'm glad that you guys joined me as always. Please hit that subscribe, like I said, guys. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Please also check out the Instagram at Jay by the Bay. I also want to take the opportunity. Come October, I'm looking to drop it possibly mid-October. I will be dropping a website. It'll be www.jaybythebay.com. It'll be my draft database. I'll have all my prospects entered in there. It'll be updated throughout the collegiate season, so you'll have full access to that. Check it out before a subscription becomes permanent for that site. But yeah, it'll be www.jaybythebay.com. But yeah, guys, as always, the Jay by the Bay faithful, thank you so much, guys. I love you guys so much. Like I always say, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but none of this is possible without you. But thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe. Blair will be back on Monday. We'll be recapping the weekend, and then we'll be in full swing. College football is underway, and then just under 2 weeks before NFL starts. Fun stuff. But as always, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Again, hit that subscribe button. You won't be disappointed with what we pump out the rest of the season. But that'll do it for today for episode 17. Thanks for joining in, guys. God bless. Take care, and I'll see you Monday.